Hi guys, and welcome back to the Early Bird Photo News. Just after I posted my video a couple days ago, I got some exciting new news that I simply had to share with you. I was talking to a few people and heard some whispers about a new exciting Canon lens. Of course, until such a lens is announced, I can't be 100% certain that this is real, but I've no reason to doubt my sources. In the past, they had been bang on about gear like the R6 Mark II and the R3 and some other items, so I think this rumor is real. Over the last few years, I had a lot of fun with the Sony A1 and their 200 to 600mm lens and got some great results. And more recently, I also had a fantastic time with the Nikon Z8 and the Z9 and their new 180 to 600mm lens. All of these lenses from the competition made me a little bit jealous as a Canon user, I must admit, and it made me wonder, will Canon ever give us a lens like this? Canon does have the excellent 100 to 500mm lens that delivers amazing results, but compared to the 200 to 600mm lenses, it definitely lacks a bit on the long end, and I always say the 100 to 500mm lens is basically the best 100 to 400mm lens on the market because it has all the features and traits of a great 100 to 400mm lens. It's nice and small, great image stabilization, and on top of that, it offers you an extra 100mm compared to all the other 100 to 400mm lenses. But on the long end, this lens leaves a little bit to be desired, especially because it doesn't work too well with the teleconverters. You do get excellent image quality, but you can't zoom back all the way, which is a little bit annoying to use. Having an excellent 100 to 500mm lens already obviously does make one wonder, would Canon ever make a 100 to 600mm lens, because there would be a lot of overlap between the two lenses. And this is where my news comes in, because according to my sources, Canon is working on a 200 to 800mm zoom lens. Now that would be something, wouldn't it? In my opinion, a lens like this actually makes a lot of sense, also because it would fit much better into the Canon lineup than like a 100 or 200 to 600mm lens. And possibly this is Canon's strategy of attacking the other brands by adding 100 or 200mm onto the long end of popular lenses. Just like they did with the 100 to 500mm lens, where instead of doing a 100 to 400mm lens, they gave us 100 to 500 with an extra 100mm. So potentially, instead of doing a 100 to 600 or 200 to 600mm lens, they're going to do a 200 to 800mm lens, giving us 200 extra millimeters on the long end, which would obviously be fantastic for us photographers because it likely will mean that we don't have to use as much teleconverters in the field. Now, I don't know which f-stop this lens is going to be, but if I had to guess, I would say it's something like 5.6 to f8. That would likely make a lot of sense when it comes to size, weight, and hopefully price as well. Now I know many of you guys will roll their eyes and say f8, that's impossible to use. But at the same time, think about the other lenses, the Nikon 180 to 600 and the Sony 200 to 600. To bring them to 800mm, we have to use the 1.4 extender, and then these lenses are wide open at f9, and because we're using a teleconverter, we'll likely have to be stopped down a little bit. So if the Canon was open at f8, for instance, that would actually be an advantage over these other lenses because we get to 800mm at f8 and don't have to use a teleconverter. Of course, we'd all want an f4 or 2.8 lens, but that would be this big and cost a lot. While I was filming this video, I also went into Canon Rumors and I saw that they recently posted about a few new patent applications for zoom lenses. And interestingly, they do mention two different versions of a 200 to 800mm lens, which somewhat might confirm what I've been saying as well. And one of those lenses is wide open at f8 and the other one is wide open at f9 on the long end. So it's very likely that the new lens will either be f8 or f9 on the long end, which probably would be fine in either case, even though personally, of course, I think most of you would as well prefer to see f8. Interestingly, one of my sources said she thinks this lens, unlike Nikon and Sony, where the lenses are not top of the range, will be an L lens. So this will be nice when it comes to image quality and things like weather sealings. At the same time, it also means that the lens will likely have quite a hefty price tag. We don't know at this stage, but if we follow Canon's latest trends of pricing their products, it will likely be not too cheap if it's an L lens. At the same time, if Canon places this lens to compete with like the 180 to 600 and the 200 to 600mm lenses, they can't price it too high. So it will be actually quite interesting to see where the price will kind of sit when and if that lens is going to be released. Personally, I must admit this would be a lens that I find very hard to resist because it gives us amazing flexibility in the field. It's likely not too heavy and would also offer us a great range for video shooting. So all in all, I think this would be one of those can do it all lenses, hopefully. What about you guys? Is that a lens that you would be very excited about, especially if it's not priced too high? I think it's definitely a great option because it would get you to 800mm without using a teleconverter, and if you're an R7 user, it would even get you to 1280mm on the long end, which is pretty amazing, isn't it? I definitely hope that this isn't the first time that my sources disappointed me, and that we will see this lens announced very soon, and that I will be able to hold it in my hands soon and share my first test results with you guys. And while we wait for that, why don't you guys go ahead and level up your editing game with my ProSets and Masterclass. With my ProSets, I allow you with just one click to transform your RAW files to get great colors and a great starting point for the editing process. And in my Masterclass, I teach you step by step everything you need to know in Photoshop and all the tools you need to master to get amazing results. So why don't you check out these down there in the description. Make sure to also check out my brand new brush pack. Give me a comment with your thoughts on this video, a little thumbs up, and hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys in the next video very soon. Bye!